Avoidants tend to be a bit slow when it comes to realizing that you have actually moved on. They never expected it. They never saw it coming because you were always there and you let them back in so many times. So when you actually move on, how are they going to know? I bet you're wondering, how are they going to find out if we're not talking? If we're blocked everywhere, how are they going to know? So we're going to talk about how they know, and we're going to talk about what they're likely to do when they do realize that you're gone, what they're likely to think and feel. Okay, so before I get into this video, I'd like to let you know that I've got 4 spaces left on the self-abandonment trap. Now, if you're anxious, obsessing, worrying about a person, and you would like to go from that to feeling calm, confident, solid in yourself, and feeling like people come towards you, are magnetized towards you instead because you're in your own frame, you're connected to you, you feel safe to be around, it is such a game changer for relationships. Now, I'm going to show you how to do this in my 6-week course, The Self-Abandonment Trap, to stop you from abandoning yourself and actually showing up as authentically you, which is the foundation of all healthy relationships, not just romantically, but this stuff that I want to teach will actually change your whole life. We're going to do it in a very special way because it's not just thinky up in your head, keeping you stuck there. It's going to be using community and creativity. So if you're a creative person, you're going to love this. But even if you don't consider yourself to be a creative person, it's still going to be amazing for you because actually you'll learn something new about yourself and what you can do. So any more information about that, you can find out in the link below. So when it comes to avoidance, realizing that you're gone, sometimes they're the ones that have left, right? So they go, they do the thing they do, they leave, they shut down, and you're thinking, well, I see it for what it is now. They are just the way that they are. And I want a healthy relationship. I don't want to be with someone who shuts down every time I try to be vulnerable. I don't want to be with someone who doesn't care about their impact on me. I don't want to be with someone who can't have difficult conversations. I don't want to be with someone that I have to parent or look after, right, in that way, right? So you start to realize these things and you have an energy shift. Your behavior starts to change. You stop chasing them. You stop sending the long messages. You stop explaining everything like you've been doing. You stop analyzing all the text and you just start to accept this is what it is. This person is the way they are. This is their capacity right now. And that's not a you problem. That's a where they're at problem right now. And it doesn't mean they're bad. It doesn't mean we have to shame them. It doesn't mean we have to belittle them or make them wrong. It means that you can see this as lovingly as you do see it, with as much compassion as you have, but you can see it for what it is. And as painful as that might be, you start to detach because you know that you want to be able to have a connected, loving relationship, and this person cannot do it at this time. You've had enough, right? So you start to energetically feel different, even from afar. I swear they feel that. I swear, like about 3 months in, 6 months into you having this sort of shift, they feel it. They know something's different. And that's when what they start to do is, I've seen this a million times before, they start Facebook stalking or Instagram stalking or just looking out, asking people about you. You'll hear, oh, they said this about me, or someone asked about me, or whatever. You might hear things like that, you might not, but they do Facebook stalk, they do Instagram stalk, they do all that stuff, right? That you think they're not doing because they just go ghost, they go silent, like they've just gone, right? But you might see them watch your stories, and you'll go, oh, they're watching my story again, right? And you'll get that jolt. But actually, honestly, if you've actually started to move on, you'll be like, yep, they're doing that. I knew they'd do that. I knew they'd start watching again. I knew they'd be looking out for me. I knew they'd be wondering where I am because I was always there. And it's like the background noise that they avoided suddenly goes silent when you've gone. All of that love, care, energy, effort that you poured into them, they took for granted. And when it's gone, they notice it like a light goes off, right? It's an energy that they thought would never leave, and suddenly it turns off. They, at this point, may reach out to you. They might send you a meme or say hi or something that is not emotional at all. Honestly, it's laughable how unemotional their messages when they reach out are. right? You think, God, I went through all of that with you. The big emotional problem that we had where we couldn't connect because we couldn't have the difficult conversations and you would not sit with me and work this out, and you're sending me a meme. Nice one. Like if you are starting to move on, you start to like really observe this and think, okay. And lots of people send me memes. Lots of people do that. What else have you got? Anything else? They might start doing things like liking your pictures or sending you like a fire emoji or some kind of flirty thing, which does not address the problem at all. And that is such a key sign of avoidance, honestly. When they send you a surface level thing that responds to like your appearance or an achievement, or they, thumbs up something. I mean, that's like literally bare minimum effort, isn't it? To send a like anyone can do that in zero point 0.5 seconds. And so they do that sort of thing as if to say, hello, I can see you. Do you still care about me? Hoping that you reach out to them, hoping that you still do the emotional effort of reaching out to them, right? It's honestly laughable because they do this. And it's like you've got to have enough self-respect to know that you want more than a fire emoji. You want more than a meme. You want someone to actually address the things that you were trying to address in the relationship. You want accountability. You want someone to see you, to care about you. Okay? Occasionally, they'll send an apology, right? Occasionally, they'll say, I just wanted to say sorry for the way that I acted. But they hope that's enough. And it goes back to that whole analogy of like, you can break it. You can, if you break a glass and you slam it on the floor and it breaks and you put it all back together again and try and put water in it, it's just not the same. And if you say sorry to it, it doesn't fix the glass, does it? It's still broken. So you need a lot more repair than just sorry. They want to get off the hook with things a lot of the time. Unless they've really done the work on themselves, unless they've like really fully taken accountability, you will notice a huge shift in the way they show up. But this is likely to happen years later, not within months, not within weeks, right? But years later. If they were going to show it completely differently, you'd be in a completely different place and you'd be like, wow, yeah, I met my ex that I used to go out with years ago. He's so different now. I can't believe it. Like you'd feel very, very different about them because you will have energetically noticed a transformation within them. They'll say different things, be speaking a different language, sort of thing. But that takes time. If you think about how hard it is for you to change, if you think about then how hard it would be for somebody who doesn't want to work on themselves to change, but they will want the connection. Avoidants don't not want connection. They do want connection, but they try to get it in the easiest, quickest way. So if you respond to like the likes and the fire emoji and the memes, and you then end up in a long connected conversation, right? Then they get the message that they don't have to invest in their emotional world. They don't have to understand you. They get that top level, surface level connection from you quite easily if you always give in. But when you don't, they start to go, oh, when you don't, they get that drop in their stomach. They start I'm not going to say panicking. They feel very uncomfortable, right? They'll feel uncomfortable with that. They'll start investigating it a bit more, wanting to know. Maybe they're going to reach out again. Maybe they're going to send another message or something. But you really have to be strong within your boundaries and within yourself about knowing what it is exactly that you need from them, what you really want them to do in order to be in a safe relationship. And to know what that feels like, you have to be connected to yourself, which is why, I created the self-abandonment trap, so that you do know what that's like. Because it's very easy when you don't have a connection to yourself to just be like a leaf in the wind, being like, oh, they're back. They like me. This is one of the traps that people have, isn't it? When someone likes you, because you didn't have that validation growing up, or you were always searching for it, it feels like the biggest hit. Like, oh, they want me. They fancy me. They think I'm attractive. I want to keep that. And then sometimes you end up being in a relationship with someone just because they like you, not because they're actually showing up for you or good for you, but because they show you that validation that you've been seeking your whole life. But when you have that already within yourself, you know your worth, you know that you need more than just external validation for a relationship to thrive, then you know that these things are kind of menial, that you can kind of look at them like, good effort. What else you got, you know? It's you get to a point, I think, when you really have detached, and I got to this point where I used to be literally waiting and waiting for my ex to like get it, to wake up, to like message me. And I got to the point where I was just like bored of his attempts, like bored of the message that I'd get 3 months later, like, and at random, like the messages that were just kind of like, by the way, I still fancy you. So, so what? That doesn't address the like emotional problems that we were having. That's nice that you fancy me. Good. Good for you. And it was honestly like I just didn't care anymore, where I had cared so much. I'd have invested so much into the relationship. And when you're burnt out with it, you get burnt out pursuer mode, and you're just like, I can't, and I do need more than that. And it becomes really unattractive to you. And, at that point, they just don't know what to do. They are backed against the wall. And unless they really, really do look at themselves properly, go to therapy and do the work, you're just not going to be interested. So the roles completely change. And that feels good for you to be back, like connected to you, because you can see what you want more clearly. You can express it more clearly, and you just don't waste time with memes and fire emojis, honestly, because you know that you need something more connected than that. So, yeah, they are likely to feel better for a while when the relationship ends because the fear's gone, the pressure for intimacy's gone. But then 3 months later, you're getting on with your life, your energy's changed. They might look you up a bit. They might ask people about you a bit. They might not reach out, but if they do reach out, they're likely to do it in some kind of like non-vulnerable way, right? That just tests the water. If you don't respond, they'll panic a bit. They might reach out again and again. They might start liking things more. They might start, responding to your stories or whatever. And you'll notice that they're lurking around. And at that point, you've kind of just got to stay within your frame and connected to your boundaries. It is triggering, even if you have moved on, even if you're not thinking about them anymore. And in that way, that you deserve better, or that they haven't got the capacity to really meet you where they are. If they're watching your stories and after you've recently kind of come to that conclusion, it still is quite triggering. So just, be aware of that too. But remember that you do really need accountability, and you need a real sense of safeness within yourself. And the way that starts is not with them and what they do, but with you. And that's what we're going to work on in the self-abandonment trap. So like I say, I've got 4 spaces left. I've also got some one-to-one spaces available at the moment. So if you want one of those, you can book them on my website. And I'd love to see you in anything that I do. And if not, then I'll see you in my next video. Bye.